Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in again. Today we will be painting some soy sauce and I will be using a very limited palette of colors here. Now, soy sauce is black, but I don't have black on the palette because we're going to mix it ourselves. So what do I have? I have ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, pyrrole red, yellow ochre and titanium white. First, you see this sketch, I already put it on there using the grid method, so I placed some dots at intervals which match with dots on my reference picture, and then I use a pastel pencil to sketch some outlines in there. Maybe it's good to start with a little extra line work first in oil paint. So I'm just dipping my brush in some water, because I use water mixable oil paints, so I don't need turps. Just to get some more lines on there. And then I look at my grid and my reference at the same time. And I tend to start at the places where they intersect, where the lines of the subject intersect the lines on my grid. The aim is again to keep this painting a bit loose and painterly. And also in this bottle, or on this bottle, you see quite some text. But I don't think we need that much information. So I will probably simplify the texts, what we see. And during the course we will be using this very limited palette of colors. Doesn't need to be a perfect exact copy of what you see, but you need to be able to make out what it is. That's my aim for this painting. Now you see a lot of text on the reference are like over here, and some more here and here and here. I'm gonna make it as simple as we simply can, or at least I will try to. First, let's start with mixing some black, because I think the challenge in this piece will be mainly, of course, in this body with all those texts. I'm taking my burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, mixing those together to get a very dark value. Which is in near black. And we can always add black later on if we feel the need for that. Start with my flat brush just to put in some of these colors. And by the looks of it, actually, that underground, that warm yellowish underground, might be perfect for us, also to get the lettering in. Let's see what we can do to make our life simple. This mixture of black or near black is made of two transparent colors. We have ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, which are both transparent. You see, it's not really opaque, you can still look through it a bit. I'm just gonna do it, I'm gonna fill this whole piece with paint. I hear you thinking, but what about the lettering? Well, got an idea for that too. We're gonna not just paint, we're kind of gonna sculpt with the paint. Sometimes it's about adding paint and sometimes it's about removing paint. Now, this is a very streaky brush, so to say. I also have a more soft one. So if I will go over it with that one, you would see a bit more soft strokes like this. Kind of softening what we just put down. As you notice, I'm also following the shape of the glass bottle. Let's see if my plan works. There's only one way to find out. I have here a smaller brush. See if we can scratch out some of the paint. It's a bit too thick, this brush, I think, so just go over it again to close it up. See if I have a bit more thin one. Actually, what I'll do it with the side instead. Let's try it with this tool. It's a rubber little rubber color shaper, they call it. I'm just scratching away the paint. And then you see that under layer. Just keep doing this until I'm satisfied. With the shapes. And you see actually because of that darker color over it, that it also has a bit of a warmer tone already. And the lettering is always quite tricky, but again, like this, it's quite forgiving. Let's see, I want to have my middle letter there, and then we'll start here. And the glass is a bit shaped, of course, so we also need to think of that when we do this lettering. Follow a bit the lines. And after each little draw, I wipe my brush to keep it clean. Now I do see I'm doing it too big, because we see that our logo is now at the wrong spot. So let's just see what happens if we complete first these letters. And then we move some paint around again. Follow a bit that shape. This actually needs to be more in the middle here, huh? So in that case, we're just gonna move that around a bit. Then going over here. So with these letterings, I'm quite okay. It's quite good. Now then, this goes until above the M, just past that first K. Roughly like these points. And goes up equally again. Actually, we see that this logo is getting bigger. Constantly wiping. And then I'm using a toothpick or a meat stick, whatever you would call it, to get the smallest lines in there later on. First, squish out just a little bit more here. Make those lines a little bit thicker. let's see if we can take that Chinese character as well. Japanese perhaps. In the middle is a bit thick. Using this thicker one for it. We'll still use this thicker one for that. And just the tip. I must say I have no idea what that sign says, but I think it's nice that we managed to get it in like that. Now my reference I have here Spanish and I guess Italian, but I'll just keep it simple and put there soy sauce in English. I think that's cute enough. Okay, then let's move on. For the background, first I was thinking to use a lot of the yellow ochre because we have the color also come forward a bit in here. But I think as we use now the background color for that yellow ochre, it would be a bit boring to keep that same color on there. So we'll keep that open for later on. First, I will put in some color on that lid. Really happy with this rounding yet. on this left side, on the reference, you see that it's slightly lighter, the red. Also there, I'm thinking let's try a trick, removing paint, just by going over there with the brush while I just wiped it off a bit, and trying to move that paint around a bit. I don't know if you can really see that well on the video, but you can tell it's getting lighter as I remove paint. And then I can just go over it again to make it a bit more smooth, if I want to. Make it a very diffused little effect there of how the light reacts. Also mix some of this with that burnt sienna to make it darker. For the top of the lid perhaps, or here. Maybe even add a touch of blue, a more purplish tone, which is okay. Now, as there's already paint on there, it gets always a bit harder to control. Keep that in mind. We just use several strokes to try and get what you want to achieve. Easy does it. Now, it's about time we start thinking about what we want to do with that background. In one way, I think it's quite cool, this background as we have it now, those tones. I really like that. But would it be boring? That's the question. What would happen if we would put yellow ochre next to it? It's a bit mustardy. It is a perfect color for the lettering though. So we might still even put some on there later on. I'm not sure yet. What else can we do? Well, sometimes it takes a long time before you see what you want or where you want to go with it. But I do think we need to do something with that background in a different color to make these letters pop a bit more as they do now. See what happens if we make like maybe a greenish could do is put some red on the bottom, green on the top, or the other way around. And actually, I'm thinking that that greenish background might work quite well, to be honest. And here we make it a bit more bluish, as the light is going through that bottle. So I do need a bit more blue. Maybe even on the background, you can make a bit of a gradient. That's a nice color though. Let's just see what we can make of this. I'll just start with this color a bit. Maybe I won't even close up all of the panel. Maybe I'll leave some expressive brush strokes in there. Because I really like how these colors combine. It's pretty cool. Now, and here it gets complex because, again, I want to keep it open a bit. So let's first try to define the outlines here. I think something like this should do, and I think I'll make it a bit more yellow there because you see that also on the reference picture. at least let this background follow until there, where we meet the soy. Can always mix more paint if I want to. And here we have a bit more on the bluish side of things. So a bit milky, so I'm adding a bit of white. And here I'm just scumping it on. Oh, they're very light. You see, by doing that, I already get a bit of a glass vibe to it. I need to be careful here not to hit those blacks. If I do, it mixes with my paint, but that's okay. We'll just spread it out again. Already let these edges almost meet. And on this side we make the more yellow version. And here we do the same, scumbling it on. Trying to follow that glass, trying to pretend this is coming from the front side. So then here, let's see if we can blend it in the middle a bit. Moving over and forth. It's quite okay. Let's add some more yellows here also. Even puras. Keep it playful and loose. I kind of like how that works. mix these two a bit for the other side. Wondering if I should still do something with these reds, but maybe later on I'll do that. Not sure of it yet. I like how it kind of feels random like this. Now, back to the dot hole. We have darker colors there, but not quite as dark as we have them now. So take this mixture, add a bit of white, and also a little bit of blue to make it a bit more of a bluish gray. Following that shape of the glass. Also blending a little bit with the background, create a nice soft effect. On the other side, we also see something similar happening. But we also see some beautiful bright yellows. I'm going to use some more ochre there. Red. We also have some very light blues. So I'm taking ultramarine and just some titanium white. Get some of these light blues in there. Hanging with my pinky in the pink there. There, where there's already the dark paint, it's more hard. I need to really wipe off that brush every time. meddle around. Making some light reflection on the sauce, on the darker bottle parts. Do we do that first, Kate? Which now actually looks better rounded even. I also see that here, the top part looks a bit more bluish. Just going over again with the dark mixture, but then a little bit more blue. Reshaping a bit here. And some very bright parts. Here we have this rim, which lights up a bit red, and which is dark. Darkening it a bit here and there. Still want some of that shine conveyed. see also this edge on the back where you see a bit of the brown soya peeking through. You can see that the liquid actually isn't pitch black, but brownish. That little edge really adds a lot. Especially when we add a bit of these highlights to it. Not too much, just a bit. Just enough to give the impression of what we're looking at. Putting some highlights here on that lid. Making it also some darker here. Just to bring them a bit more to the background. And here I think the edges are a bit too sharp. I'm just going over it very slowly. Make them a little bit more soft. Because ultimately it's also a round shape, huh? Some shadow right there on the medley lid. Also some darker. I think we're nearly there. I do still want to use some of those reds. Maybe this, or is it too red? I don't know. One way to find out. Oh, I like that. Some nice abstract shapes. All a bit centered. add some more ochre to that. It makes a nice one for here, perhaps. Then also to make the circle complete, we need to have a bit of a purplish version. For this area. See there. It's too strong here. So just go over it again. Just getting a little rim light here. It's not something I per se see, but I do think it helps with the readability. Closing up that gap that was bothering me. Kind of like this. Maybe I'll just add a touch of black. My palette. Just for some extra zing. I'm not gonna do it over the whole bottle, just sparingly here and there. Still looks like it's floating, so maybe here I'm gonna make a bit more of a darker. There we go. Perfect. And just some last parts here. Some cleanup. And then all that's left is to sign it. And I like to scratch that in the wet paint. There we go.